Today, I want to walk you through how to build a sales pipeline. In other words, how do you build content that takes somebody from, like, let's say, a cold DM or a cold email through a process, building collateral along the way so that they progress through a sales funnel. It's not super easy to do, but it's also not rocket science. It's really a matter of having a framework in place and then being able to plug content into it. Then you evaluate as you put it into practice in the real world. Is this working for us, right? Is this effective? And the good news is that you get pretty instant feedback on whether or not sales collateral is effective because people either totally ignore it or they respond to it. So let's kind of walk through what we've implemented at Hire a Writer and Winsome Marketing as far as sales pipeline goes. I'm going to literally show you what we use, and then you can kind of think about how to leverage this kind of strategy to build a sales pipeline yourself. So let's dive into it. So as you know, I'm a huge fan of showing our work. So I'm going to just go ahead and give you exactly what we have built for two of our biggest product lines. So one of the big things that we sell is SEO content packages. Okay, we sell like the initial evaluation, the SEO strategy, and then ongoing SEO content. So what we do is we find who we're going to farm. Right? So we find categories of like industries, is this particular, our current sales target in our current sales cycle, industries that we're going to go after. We kind of know who these people are. We knew who we're going to reach out to within those companies. And then we do the actual list building. So that's the side of it that's probably more of like a BD activity, right? You need a lot of alignment on who's going to be who you are meant to pursue. And then the marketing side of it is kind of building the structure and the collateral around it, okay? One thing that we did early on is anytime we switch up our sales target, we have anybody who's involved in outbound marketing add a link to whatever we're ultimately selling to their email signature. Just as a easy way to subtly nod to what we're selling in these ongoing communications. Because you don't want to, principle one, let me just like make this really clear. You don't want the first email you send or the first DM you send or the second or the third or maybe even the fourth to be an ask. Okay. You have to offer before you ask, especially if you don't have an existing relationship. Okay. Yes, of course, they're going to be aware of what you sell. But if you even hope to get a little fingernail through the door, there has to be an established rapport and there has to be a proven value to what you're offering first. And that's what all of this entire structure is about, is essentially proving value. What do we have to offer you that is valuable to you, that will be useful? So I'm going to walk you through it. So basically what we do is we have content built out for a couple of different contingencies. In this specific SEO sales sequence, we have 6 messages, okay? And these are kind of contingent upon response because you have to be careful, obviously, that you're not being super spammy. The pipeline begins with an offer, and that offer is an asset that we have that is an SEO benchmarking survey. And what this is it's 10 quick questions that help people establish, like, how much money do you spend on SEO versus other people in the industry? How much, do you have SEO personnel on staff? Is that normal? What kind of SEO agency do you use? What kind of SEO agencies do other people use? Okay, so they input their answers, and then basically what it gets regurgitated to them is the answers, like, globally, right? So here are the statistics that tell, like, all right, you said that you spend this much on SEO. Most companies spend between this, or this, right? That kind of thing. So it just gives them comparables or comps, right? Which is really helpful. I mean, that's how we buy houses. Like, comparables are what tell you whether or not you are normal. Like, where do you fall in terms of investment and personnel and talent and strategy and all those things. So it's cool. It's useful. The only information we gather on that step is name and email. So we're not gathering like company name, URL, like anything like that. It's really, really lean data gathering. So, and the only reason we really gather it is so that we can then send the PDF. Obviously, we also gather it so that we can send the sequence to follow. So, super important. Your initial asset needs to be an offer, not an ask. It needs to be easy to use. It needs to add genuine value to the person, right? Giving them some kind of information that they couldn't easily get in another way. And it can't really have any like overtones of salesiness to it. And it can't be excessively difficult, too much data, all the things. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty clear. I think most marketers kind of know that that has to be like your light the match asset has to be pretty simple, straightforward, value driven, etc. So that's number one. The idea is that, there are a couple different ways people are going to respond to this. And so in a sales pipeline, you build out, okay, what happens if they don't answer? Okay, what happens if they answer the message but didn't fill out the form? Or what happens if they filled out the form and then, how do you continue to follow up with them? You got their email address. Okay, so those are kind of like the three ways that this could go. And it's important that your pipeline or that your process builds into those contingencies. So for this one particularly, if they didn't answer, we wait 3 business days, and then basically we send them the results of the survey. Because the benchmarking is useful because they want to know how they compare, but the actual just global data is also useful, right? Because they can tell the comparables, whatever. So we want that value. We want them to have that value to understand how much we understand about SEO, how, we're monitoring the industry, we're monitoring it as a practice, all that kind of thing. So we wait 3 business days and then we send that follow-up. Do it again. We wait 3 business days and then we add another resource. Okay, so again, this is they haven't answered. But we want to continue to offer value, and we don't want to penalize them for not answering us. We could be going to spam, who knows, whatever. So we wait 3 business days again, and then we offer them another asset. So, and for this one, there's no email needed. Okay, so for the form, we are asking for their email address, but if they didn't fill out the form, we're giving them the benchmarking thing for free, and then 3 business days later, we're giving them another SEO evaluation worksheet, which is a really great document that we've built. That's like a copy. They can create a copy of it and use it to evaluate their own SEO, all that kind of thing. Give that to them for free. Obviously, all these assets are branded, so they have information from us on it, but it's not, again, you don't see any sales in here, right? You don't see any ask, you don't see any package information, nada, nothing. All we're trying to do is offer value and establish our identity as experts in this space. And then we do one more. So then we wait 1 business day and we do one more. If at this point they haven't responded, let's not be jerks, right? The writing's on the wall. They're not interested or they're not checking their messages. Either way, no problem. We have not asked for anything from them and we don't expect anything from them at this point. So then typically what we would do is kind of consider that cold, right? That's kind of a cold lead. They're not responding. They're probably not interested right now. No problem. What we wouldn't do right now, that I have seen so many people do, is a last ditch. This is the last time I'm going to bug you. Bubbling this to the top of your DMs. I'm going to be honest with you. I get messages like that all the time, and it's totally ignore. Because it's your assumption that I've been engaged with you in this process is kind of offensive to me. I'm not engaged in the process. I don't know who you are. I'm not reading these DMs, right? So we don't want to ever kind of cut it off and be this is a last ditch. That's just not how online lead nurturing works, right? And we've had people that we've done sales sequences to before who come back to us 6 months later, a year later, or who we see at an event and they're oh yeah, thanks for sending that thing, by the way, whatever. You don't want to ever create future embarrassment for yourself by going too hard into these things. And as a marketer, again, you may not be the one who's delivering this content, but you probably will be the one who's asked to write it and refine it or whatever. And so you want to make sure that you're kind of coaching the sales team in that way. Going ham on DMs is don't do that. It's so tacky and nobody believes you. And it's just not a great way to go, in my opinion. I get that I'm not, a sales expert, but that has not worked for me. I have sold a lot and that has not worked for me. All right. So that's no answer, crickets. Here's what you do. So let's say they do answer, right? So let's say that we send them this, hey, we have this SEO benchmarking survey, blah, 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 link to it. And they are okay, cool, thanks. So they're nice enough to have said something, to at least have acknowledged, right? So what we would typically do then is wait 3 business days and kind of go through the same thing as if they hadn't answered, right? We want to just keep offering value. So this is, we'll send them the results. We'll send them another resource. We'll send them another freebie. And then for this person, I would say there is a little bit more of an opportunity. So I would say wait, right? So after that, wait, right? If they haven't responded, if they don't respond to any of those freebies, whatever, then maybe wait. And then just kind of ping them again in 3 weeks or see where it goes. So there's a little bit more of a profiling activity that needs to happen there to figure out were they the wrong person for this asset? Did they not find value in it? Did it not feel relevant to them? Did they just not have time? Do they not care? Do they not get on LinkedIn that much? whatever, right? Do a little bit of that diagnostics, because the more you can think through what is and isn't working in this process, the better profile the stronger and more robust profiles you'll have to be able to communicate more effectively in the future, right? Anticipate how they're going to react or not react based on kind of who they are and all that. The third is obviously the most ideal situation, and that is that, okay, we send them this offer and they take us up on it, right? They fill out the form, they contribute to the data, we get their email address. Immediately, they should get a follow-up, right? That should be like coded into the system, right? That's in our HubSpot. As soon as they go, so we've got the form in Typeform, we have a Zapier that then automatically fills out a form in our HubSpot, categorizes them as having been a lead from this Typeform, and then pings whoever the owner is, and then automatically sends this follow-up email, and then launches a sequence of emails that you'll see below. So those are like formatted and beautiful and whatever, everything's linked nicely. So they automatically get like a thanks, that's awesome, and the immediate follow-up email has an additional asset of that SEO evaluation. So what we're not saying here is, by the way, we offer SEO packages. Because again, like, you have to be careful. You don't want to just immediately start like pushing a sale or making an assumption. Maybe they did this just to be nice. Maybe they were just curious, whatever. You have to spend some time nurturing them in this day and age, especially, so that you don't just get written off as like another salesperson trying to get their attention. So we would recommend then, because again, that's kind of more of a live lead. Instead of a 3 business day timeline, we wait 1 business day. Then we send immediately something that is like super relevant, how to use ChatGPT for SEO. It's a download document. They've got recommended prompts. It's like immediately useful, all that. And we drop that right away. Then we put them into a flow, right? And so remember, at the very beginning, I said everyone who's involved in this process will have added our SEO package download to their email signature. So it's subtle, it's there, we're not pointing to it yet, but they do have that showing up every time they hear from us, which is kind of helpful, okay? Just because it's kind of reminding them, we do this, by the way. Wait 3 business days, and then for these people, for this flow, because these are higher value, right? They've exhibited some kind of intent to play ball, we add higher value resources. So for instance, after 3 business days, after that second asset drop, we will go in and we'll say, okay, we're gonna give you a technical SEO tool kit, which is super cool, and it has like links to all these resources, and it's like amazing. And then secondly, we're gonna give you a backlink pitch template. Here's content that we've used in order to solicit backlinks. It's been successful. Just copy, paste, use it. Let me know if you have any questions, right? So again, we're not offering anything yet. We're taking our time. And then we go 3 business days again. And then we go into another like very timely tool. So this is something that's like SEO trend tracking, a short list, whatever. Keep it brief. These don't need to be ebooks. These don't need to be massive assets. Again, you set the precedent for what you're offering with that first light the match asset, which needs to be something useful. And if you set the precedent that way, everything else that you give them needs to be equally useful. Because what you are doing is you are establishing who you are. What we are, who we are, is people who are experts in this, who are going to make your life easier, who are here to help, who are not not greedy with our information and expertise. We're here to train, we're here to educate, we're here to expand knowledge. Like, we want you to know how to do this. We want you to learn. We want you to benefit. All of that is very much brand story. Subtle, but it's brand story. And so the kinds of assets you choose to support a sales pipeline along the way, from the very first one, need to be very clearly reinforcing over and over and over again, this is the kind of people we are, and this is how we work with other people. So we're just showcasing that, right? We're making it clear this is what we like, this is what we do, and this is how, a little bit, how it would feel maybe to work with us, okay? So it's all subtle, but it's there. And then lastly, we kind of wait 3 more business days, and then we kind of feel it out, but the automated version of this sends them our information on SEO packages and services. We also do have like a video version of it. So we'll put the like downloadable SEO packages and services, and then I'm on screen like talking through it, like here's what this actually means and whatever. So there's links to both of those in that last email. Another really good last follow-up, if you're sending packages, is to accompany it with a case study. We have case study in video format just because it's more interesting. And I'm like talking through, here's what the project was, or I'm screen sharing, like here's exactly what we did, and here's the reports that you can see what we accomplished and all of that. So that's another really good kind of way to do that. That is how we build kind of a standardized process, standardized sales pipeline, the assets that we plug in along the way, why we do it, and hopefully that's clear to you, and hopefully that's useful as you think about having these for product lines, as you think about having them for service lines, as you think about having them for different package structures. Anything that you sell can be segmented out in this way and thematically give the cold lead, right, resources or tools or intel into who you are, what you would be like to work with, the strength of what this offering is, and then hopefully ultimately end up in a conversation where a fantastic salesperson can get them over the finish line. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. I do look at those. I'm trying to get better about looking at those. And if you are interested in learning more about either of my businesses, you can go to hireawriter.us or winsomemarketing.com, or you could also, I guess, go to babygotbacklink.com. That's another business we have. And we also run the Academy of Continuing Education, which empowers and equips marketers and growth leaders to be able to achieve better results. Subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this, and I wish you all the best of luck.